When we needed a reaction, we needed 3 points, and I think we got both. 4 goals, a clean sheet, and what feels like a very early Merry Christmas. The Leicester match folks come up, Newcastle fans, to do us a favour and make sure you stick around. Back to Black White Banter, ladies and gentlemen. It's match day. I know I look like a bit of a wally in this hat. All might be explained a little bit further down the line whilst I've got this hat on and why it looks a little bit weird. So I look like a bank robber for the day, but hey, I'm warmer than I normally am on a match day. Look, it's a massive game today. I've said my piece on plenty of YouTube videos in the last week, including my match vlog down at Brentford. What an awful trip that was back because of that second half, and that second half was not good enough for any Newcastle club, past or present, in any capacity. Bruno slapped himself across the face in his full-time interview, told its own story, and yeah, whilst it's all well and good him saying that was a disaster, that was a mess, I think he worded it as, it's players like him, particularly as captain, who need to step up and really improve in this one. And I'm always an optimist, and Leicester at home, of course, we're the favourites today. Of course, it's a match that we should win at St James's Park, you feel like, on paper. But not only does Ruud van Nistelrooy, who, by the way, if any Newcastle fan has not been sent shudders by that man being at St James's Park, I'm firstly going to question how old you are, but I'm also going to question whether you know much about Newcastle and Man United of years gone by. 5 appearances at St James's Park and 5 goals. That man used to terrorise us. Don't even want to mention his record at Old Trafford. I remember him getting a hat-trick when we got absolutely battered under Bobby Robson. So he's back as a manager now. Of course, they've got a bit of a spring in his step. I actually rated his time at PSV. Really, really good stats when he was managing in Holland. Did Man United slip up? Only time will tell. Let's hope they have. But I've got a sense of nerves today, and I feel like I speak for every fan there, because if we were to win narrowly today, 3 points is the most important thing. But I think there's a level of performance that every Newcastle fan wants to see today. A level of performance, because that Brentford game and a couple of matches previously, Palace, West Ham, have just not been good enough. And particularly when the backs have been against the wall, when we've gone behind, the response hasn't been good enough. West Ham, it wasn't good enough. Palace, the way we switched off in the last minute, wasn't good enough, not mentioning the attacking performance. And it's a massive, massive game, and you really worry, and I worry, and so many fans inside St James's Park today will worry if this match goes against us early doors, where that leaves us. And that's the scariest thought for me. So it's a must win, but I do want to see a level of performance today. I'm not saying it's easy opposition. Jamie Vardy has scored plenty of goals at St James's Park in his career. Certainly a couple that I can remember, and he's firing high for them. But we have the better team. The team news has just dropped. Sandro Tonali is in. Gordon is in. These are the changes that I needed Eddie Howe to make, because in my opinion, they both should have been starting against Brentford. If fatigue was the problem, when we've had a week to prepare, and 3 points would have been good. Look, in the first half on last Saturday, we were good. If we play to any level like that, from an attacking point of view, I think we'll cause Leicester plenty of problems. But let's get into these today. Let's get 3 points, but let's show what we can do and just have some level of consistency. Because when we've started scoring, we've also started conceding. And Leicester, in my opinion, might be clapping their hands. And St James's Park today could go very quickly, very quietly. I'm going to go and sink a pint. I'm just outside the Mile Castle. Where else? It's absolutely class now. It's been upgraded, by the way. Best spoons in the country, bar none. Then I'm going to get myself up there. Fingers crossed, Eddie Howe's Mags can do it. But before we have a pint, let's get into some lovely little black and white banter. Stats. Stats. Right, let's kick these stats off with some positivity, because that's what we need just before Santa Claus comes down the chimney. Newcastle have lost just one of their last 21 matches against newly promoted sides, winning 12 and drawn 8. I remember it well, it was just before Christmas, away to Luton, 1-0, in that tiny little ground where we were basically walking through someone's toilet, watching someone have a shite to get to the away end. That was the only time we've lost, so fingers crossed that lovely record against teams fresh from the Championship continues today. Right, next up is those sorts of stats where normally I speak positive of Newcastle and it maybe backfires, so I'm going to do the same of Leicester in the hope I jinx things badly for them. Leicester have won 6 away games at St James's Park in the league, more than they have against any other opponent. I know. You can have a go at me after if it goes badly with us mentioning stats like that. 5 of those wins have come in their last 7 visits, so Leicester fans will know that their recent trips to the Toon, not only is it great for pubs, it's been pretty fruitful for points as well. This is the stat that sums up Newcastle this season. This is what we need to correct starting today. Newcastle have won just 1 of 7 matches this season against teams that were in the bottom half on that day. 0.86 points per match against teams in the bottom half. And that win, all the way back on the opening day when we had that solid 1-0 just about win against Southampton when we were down to 10 men, that needs to change today, and that's the stat I'm finishing off with. Half time, 1-0, but I tell you what, we just need to keep working. We do. That Leicester team, their midfield is one of the most non-existent midfields I have seen all season. We've had all of the ball, they are terrible. But that scares me because we haven't created probably enough chances. Isak's got to score, Dan Burn header. But Murphy, would you believe, awful first half, and I wanted him off. Then he goes and curls on the bottom corner. 1-0, something to work on the second half, but that second half performance is going to be key. On to the second half we go. Stadium, what feels like for the very first time, for a long time, feeling very, very positive, very Christmas, the Christmas spirit running through all. Right, first and foremost, I haven't seen you for a very long time. Firstly, tell me your initial thoughts on that match.
It was good performance. Not like last weekend's rubbish antics, but yeah, good win. I'm happy. Get a win next week and on Boxing Day as well.
Yeah.
And next weekend.
But most importantly, are you walking down these lovely steps just next to us, feeling optimistic before Santa Claus comes down the chimney now? Whereas maybe at 2:30 today, you weren't feeling so much.
Yes, I'm happy.
Good.
I'm just spending Christmas and Santa's there, Jodie.
Have you been a good lad this year? You getting many presents?
Yes.
Have you asked for anything? Or?
Not yet. Not yet.
But no piece of coal.
No, it's just a remember trip again, please.
Right, just outside again, joined by Gordy, who, with that lovely hair of his, is becoming quite a familiar face on these videos now. Gordy, we were just racking our brains when the last time we won a Premier League match 4-0 was. By me, it was Tottenham last year. It feels nice. That is a nice scoreline. Santa Claus isn't even here yet. We feel like we've had an early present. So sum up that match for just in general first.
It was nice to watch. It was like 2 different halves, I believe. The first half, like that second half, we controlled that game. As soon as we got that second, so early in that second half, we just controlled that game.
We both missed it having a pint, didn't we?
Yeah, I nearly caught it. By the time I got to the top of the stairs, they'd scored. By the time I got back to my seat, they'd scored again. I was just like, I need to go for a pint at half time more often. Really.
I was almost as shocked at the fact that you got the round in, to be totally honest.
It's pay weekend, didn't we?
But last Saturday home game before Christmas, people will be on it tonight. Going into the Christmas now, I'm assuming, like most, you were a bit nervous coming in today. I think a lot of Newcastle fans were. Has that changed things, or is it still one step at a time?
Oh, I think with Newcastle, it's 1 week, then it's another week.
Yeah.
It's the consistency. If we can sort this consistency out, I'll be in a much happier place at Christmas.
Mm-hmm. And I've got to ask, probably sounds a bit more of a negative question, but it's probably an observation I've made on that match, which I'll talk about at the end of my video. But were we helped a little bit by Leicester being absolutely god-awful? Because I honestly think that is the worst team to come to St James's Park this season. They were not at the races from their midfield was non-existent. Was that a factor, or were we just very good?
It's a mixture of both, I think.
Yeah.
I'll agree with they were probably the worst team to watch. Like their midfield was non-existent that whole game.
Anything they tried, they were just giving the ball away.
Nah, we've been sloppy in the ball as well, but they were a lot worse than we've been. And they just did not. They were just here. By the looks of it, they made the numbers up, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I worry about them. They're going down, I think.
I don't think there's many Leicester fans watching, so you're all right, I reckon. What, forget about the Christmas presents and what we've asked Santa for. Not only did I ask Santa for that, I asked Santa for 3 points, tick. But more importantly, I asked Santa Claus this year for a reaction and a performance. And I think we got all of the above. Ding, dang, dong. Merry Christmas, thank you, and good night. Don't worry, that's not where the video's ending. Look, 4-0 in any Premier League match against any side is a brilliant result. A really, really good result, and I will take that all day long. Look, let's just approach the elephant in the room almost. I just spoke to Gordy about it there briefly on an interview. Leicester were the worst team I've seen come to St James's Park this season. And if any Leicester fan might be watching this because it's a match vlog, I'm sorry. Ruud van Nistelrooy, I'm not sorry that he's witnessed the loss because, my God, was he on the receiving end of some very good results for Man United. Ugh. And that got me a little bit worried just thinking about him being in St James's Park. So sorry, Ruud. That's what St James's Park is like these days. But they were just awful. They really were. Everything that they tried kept on not working, but they continued with it, playing it out from the back, playing it short. Their midfield with Skip, the ex-Tottenham lad, was non-existent. I thought Sandro and Bruno were just able to dictate and do whatever they wanted, and that played into our hands massively. So that's the first one. Let's talk about the opposition, get that out of the way. But let's talk about what we've done well. Hello, sir. Hello, mate. How are you? Well, yeah. Somebody has to. Sorry if I just shouted in the microphone there. One of the stewards watches Black and White Banter. He's just shouted us there. I've got to love that. Got to respect that. First half, came out the traps. Look, he changed the team. Of course, Dubravka had to come in. I'll keep my opinions to Dubravka as a person to myself as I try and do. But generally speaking, I thought he looked safe as ours. But he came in. Sandro was back. Gordon was back. That was lovely to see. In the first half, we really came out the traps. Leicester were probably testing the water a little bit to see what Newcastle team showed up. The Newcastle team that showed up probably caught them off guard a fair bit. Press. Couldn't get out, couldn't pass the ball. Cody, who's getting a little bit on now, he was struggling. And I just thought we were really, really good. We had purpose, we had zip. And I was getting a little bit worried, 1-0, that we were going to miss chances. And missed chances has been our downfall all season. There's the ambulance for some of the Leicester players, I think, just bobbing by. Always happens when I'm recording. I feel like I should put some elevator music on whilst he's awaiting. Yeah, we'll leave that one sitting there. We missed chances, but look, Jacob Murphy, who, by the way, did not have a very good half of football. Most people in the stands were moaning, going, he was giving the ball away. Things he was trying weren't really working. He bangs in, what can I just say, was a lovely, lovely controlled finish into that bottom corner. Lovely jubbly, 1-0. He quietened a few people, and then we had something to build on. But the missed chances, with how we've been playing half to half, especially after Brentford, concerned me. But generally speaking, Leicester City in the first half must have had about 5 minutes of the football at their feet. Defence not really troubled. Jamie Vardy struggling to get in the game. So at half time you're like, right, what Newcastle team is going to come out? You've got Harvey Barnes up against his old team coming off the bench. You've got Asula, who Eddie Howe is telling us is getting a little bit nearer. And second half, well, I missed the first one, Bruno. But we start exactly what a Newcastle team in a little bit of up and down form after an awful defeat at Brentford needed. Bruno, bang, 2-0. And then we get Isak with the third. And it was just from there, it was just comfortable. And if a Newcastle team going into a cup quarter final 4 days later, 3.5, and then Ipswich, difficult away game 3 days later as we come into this busy Christmas period, needed anything, it was a comfortable and controlled second half. And then Jacob Murphy's finished, by the way. So much space down that right-hand side, the whole match, rifled that into the net to properly quiet anyone who was maybe questioning the other things he was doing in the game, especially in the first half, me included. And that second half, we took the gas off a little bit. Harvey Barnes came on, I thought he looked bright. Asula came on. Nice to see him get some minutes after that awful news about Callum Wilson. Shock. Sorry, Callum, but we're all just a bit sick of it now. That was nice to see him come on, but we never really had to exert ourselves, and there was a level of giving up from the Leicester City players, I thought, as well. So where does this leave us? What individual performances are we talking about? Well, Tonali didn't come in for Brentford, and I was really frustrated about that. fortnight, Tonali today showed exactly why I was frustrated he wasn't in the team against Brentford. That level of control and just defensive work, that cover in front of that back four who've been a little bit fragile in recent weeks, shipping 7 goals in 2, was great. I'm not saying he was pulling trees up by chucking tackles in left, right and centre, but we never needed him to be because Leicester was so off it today. And it's just a level of control. As a bit of just a holding midfielder, a pivot, he's just so comfortable in everything he does. Left foot, right foot, passing, supporting the attack, spreading it wide, spreading it left, right. And he was great. And he was a brilliant performer for me. Let's hope he just keeps getting used to the Premier League, because the way he's coming in and out, we forget that he is still getting used to the Premier League. I thought Bruno was good. He got his goal. He dictated things. The less said about that disgusting dive that hit him or 52,000 people inside St James's Park ever want to see again. Come on! Up the mags! Everyone's in a better mood when we win, especially at Christmas time. It's great. People are shouting at me. I sometimes get told where to go when people walk past me recording when we've lost. Bruno was good. Anthony Gordon, he had his fire in the belly against Liverpool. I was annoyed he wasn't in against Brentford. Anthony Gordon was good. He had that zip. He wanted to take Justin on at every opportunity. He got some good balls, and I was just disappointed he never got a goal today. Really bright. Lewis Hall, we keep absolutely bumming this lad, but I feel like he deserves it. He had confidence today when we were winning in the game to drive the ball forward, sweeping things up, supporting the attack. Lewis Hall I hope, is going to be Newcastle's left back for the next 9 years, if he can, because he's only going to get better and better, and those England call-ups are going to keep coming, and there's going to be plenty of eyes on him, I've got no doubts. I thought he was great today. Alexander Isak, he huffed and he puffed in the first half. Lovely touches, should have scored. But we know how bright he is, and I think there is a different Alexander Isak in this Newcastle team to what we saw at the start when he looked a bit rusty. Looked like he'd maybe had a long summer, a bit like Bruno, to be fair. He was really good. Defence, I'm not going to talk too much. I thought Dan Burn today, towards the end, was playing like prime Lionel Messi. I think Messi was from Blythe in the number 33 shirt. He was comfortable, but generally speaking, we were just very, very good at both ends of the pitch today. Dubravka was confident in all his catching with his feet. We know he's better than Nick Pope. That was almost refreshing to see. Not as good a shot stopper, but defensively we weren't too trouble. Then Jamie Vardy gets hooked off. You know you are doing something right when Vardy is one of the first players to get taken off by Leicester, because he's been their main man now for most of the season. Fair play to the bloke. He's like 37. Where does this leave us moving forward? Well, again, I'm going to say the same thing I said after the Liverpool match. A 4-0 win against Leicester is only well and good if we can follow it up with a winnable match against Brentford in the Cup to take us through to a Cup semi-final. Oh, God, so close to those Wembley Arches again. Good performance on Wednesday, but let's face it, Newcastle fans, the Cup game is just about getting over the line. So we get over the line there, and then we've got Ipswich on Saturday, which I'm not going to claim is an easy place to go. It's not. Liverpool found out it was quite tough. Man United found out recently it was quite tough. So I don't want this stereotype of like, oh, well, newly promoted side, we should go in there and win. Yes, on paper we should, but that is not an easy place by any means just before Christmas. Then we've got Villa, Man United, very difficult matches. There's no point us beating Leicester then going and losing the next two, because we will continue, as I've always said, to be that mid-table team if we can't find any level of form. Our squad is good enough, with Botman just on the cusp of coming back. And can I just say, Newcastle fans, we forget that Sven Botman even exists. Batman is a huge footballer for Newcastle. If he's firing, when he came back last season, he didn't look right. If he's the proper Sven Botman that got us Champions League, that is huge for Newcastle. And then suddenly we've got what? Dan Burn as an option off the bench, who's looked really good so far. That squad gets better. I'm feeling optimistic. I hope a couple of people who seem to believe that the fastest fix when things aren't going well is to change manager. I was very critical of the decisions Eddie Howe made at Brentford, but I am by no means believing that these players don't believe in him and that he is not the right man for Newcastle. People say we've been found out. Well, again, ask Leicester, like Brentford in the first half, like Liverpool last Wednesday, whether this Newcastle team is being found out by opposition. Because when we press like we did today, in twos, organised, when we have players on form like Gordon, like Isak, this is still one of the hardest places to come in the Premier League, and I stand by that. And I am going to go and dance down for a quick pint now. I am going to feel optimistic going into a huge cup game on Wednesday, and I am going to get ready for Santa Claus to bring me some presents, hopefully in the form of a win against Ipswich, a win something against Villa on Boxing Day, and my God, Do I want something against Man United on the 30th? My cup final every season is Old Trafford away. Newcastle fans, if you like this match, if I'll do us a little favour, drop us a follow, drop us a like, drop us a subscribe. I was interviewing fans today before I did this video as a job, and that is because of people like you giving me the support, giving me likes and subscribes, and getting Black and White banter somewhere, and I absolutely love the crack. Fan first, content second. Keep the faith, Newcastle fans. Go and enjoy your Christmas Baileys over the next week or so, where hopefully we are in a cup semi-final and looking a little bit tastier in the league. 4 points off the top 4. I'll take that. Maybe things aren't looking too bad, but let's just find that consistency. Howie, Eddie Howe's Christmas Mags.